you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I'm Gold Pony, and today we are in the new 2020 Mazda CX-9, courtesy of Jack Giambalvo in York, PA. And so I'm always excited to get in Mazdas. This one in particularly, there's actually tons of changes for the 2020 model year. Not only that, it did score above average reliability rating by Consumer Reports, which is also a definite plus. So what do you say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as expected, there are several different trim levels for the 2020 Mazda CX-9. First one being the Sport, starting at $33,790. Then you have the Touring, starting at $35,610, which by the way is the one we have today. Grand Touring starting at $41,450. And lastly, the Signature, starting at $46,115. And so by the way, that was pricing for the front-wheel drive configuration. If you wanted to add all-wheel drive to any of those trim levels, simply add $1,900 to any of those prices. And so regardless of trim level that you go with, the power plant on the 2020 CX-9 will be the same. Powering this one is going to be a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder, putting out 227 horsepower using 87 octane, 250 horsepower at 5,000 RPM using 93 octane. Then when it comes to torque numbers, 310 pound-feet at 87 octane, 320 pound-feet of torque available at 93 octane, available at 2,500 RPM, by the way. Front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, of course, sent to the ground through a 6-speed automatic, giving you MPG numbers coming in at 22 in the city, 28 highway for the front-wheel drive, and 20 in the city, 26 on the highway for the all-wheel drive setup. And so before we do any kind of accelerations or any of that fun stuff, I want to mention there is a drive mode button just to the left of the shifter there. Essentially, it is a sport mode. Did just put it in that sport mode, it did immediately downshift for me. So of course, it is going to hold the RPMs at a much higher level, giving you more power on demand. It's also going to adjust the throttle response as well. And so having said all that, now I think you guys know what we have to do next. I think it is time. Let's do a quick little acceleration test here, and let's see how quickly we can get the new 2020 Mazda CX-9 here up to speed. Here we go. Good pull. All right, yeah, for a turbocharged four-cylinder, that is plenty of an acceleration. Definitely no issues with grip either. Immediately put that power to the ground, so not overpowered, definitely not underpowered, just the right amount of acceleration, quite honestly, for a CX-9. But as always, to go along with that acceleration, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 12.6-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 12.8-inch solid rear discs. As far as the braking feel goes, we are on the back roads. Let's give it a shot. Heck yeah. Definitely no issues with coming to a stop. I always like to mention that because there are some SUVs out there with very spongy braking feels where you really have to stop on it to get it to come to a stop. Like for instance, smelling the Tahoe, the Suburban, the Acura RDX, just a few of them come to mind there. But CX-9, definitely no issues with any kind of braking feel there. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front you will get a McPherson strut front suspension with the stabilizer bar. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, once again with the stabilizer bar. But perhaps the very best part about the Mazda CX-9, the instant I got in this one, it was immediately obvious. The steering feel is absolutely amazing. It's so flippin' night and day between every other SUV in its class. This one immediately points you in the direction that you want to go. There's no dead spots when you turn or anything like that. It's absolutely amazing. If you wanted this more as a driver's SUV, this is perhaps the winner there. So definitely loving taking it on the back roads here in the CX-9. As far as ride quality goes, that's been perfectly fine as well. And to kind of go along with that, as far as ride comfort goes, did want to mention that as well, because I can see the CX-9 being used for long road trips, on family road trips perhaps. The armrests are actually very well placed. My left and right elbow are perfectly comfortable in this thing. So the only thing I would say is the left elbow is very cushiony. The right elbow is a little harder on the center armrest, but other than that, the placement, it's not too far apart, so it is very comfortable. I can just rest my elbows here and go on a very long road trip. But enough talking about elbows, let's touch on visibility. I can see perfectly fine out the back with those third row headrests down. So you can fold them down. Of course, if you have third row passengers, you of course will have to fold them up. And then, of course, that might impede visibility ever so slightly, but with them folded down, visibility is definitely on point, of course. Did want to also mention one of the new features for the 2020 CX-9, rain sensing windshield wipers is now standard on all trim levels of the CX-9, meaning when this Mazda detects any kind of rainfall or moisture upon the windshield, it will automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you, so it's one less thing you have to worry about, so you can better focus on enjoying these back roads in the CX-9. So that is definitely a plus, and again, a new feature for the 2020 model year. Did want to also mention when it comes to visibility, a head-up display will come standard with the Grand Touring and Signature trim levels if you wanted to go that route, and that is going to be displayed on your windshield, letting you know the speed limit of any given road as well as the speed you are currently going and some safety features. But we of course do not have that today because we have the Touring, but nonetheless it is available there if you wanted it. But that about rounds out the performance segment of this review. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of this brand new 2020 Mazda CX-9. All right, so here she is, you guys, and let me first start by getting the colors out of the way. Deep Crystal Blue is the name of the exterior color you are currently looking at, and we do have a sand colored interior, so you'll be seeing that of course after this little exterior segment, but did want to mention the colors before we get started here. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and start up front. LED headlights with the auto leveling feature will come standard of course across the board. Automatic feature coming with that, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, headlights will turn on automatically for you, so you never have to worry about that. LED daytime running lights also standard up there. LED fog lights coming standard with the Grand Touring and Signature trim levels. LED grille accent lighting coming with the Signature. That is a very cool effect, but again, that's only going to be for the Signature trim level. You will get an adaptive front lighting system if you go with the Grand Touring and Signature trims, and you will get some extra chrome lower body molding, again, if you were to go with the Grand Touring or Signature trims. So, but now making our way to the side of this one, first thing I always wanted to mention, starting up top, satin aluminum roof rails are actually going to come with the Grand Touring and Signature trim levels. However, they will not come on the Touring trim level that we currently have today. Rear privacy glass is going to come standard across the board, as well as chrome window surrounds. You guys can see that around the windows there. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors will come standard, and LED integrated turn signals coming standard with that as well. And actually, this side mirrors will be heated as well, so that is definitely a plus if you live in Pennsylvania like I do, because it does get quite cold and icy and snowy and all that fun stuff. But nonetheless, taking a look down at the wheel setup, 18 by 8 inch aluminum alloy wheels coming standard with the Sport and Touring trim levels, and that is what you're currently looking at right now. If you jumped up to the Grand Touring or Signature trims, you will get 20 by 8.5 inch aluminum alloy wheels. But making our way now to the back, shark fin antenna found up top, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light coming standard, as well as that rear window wiper back there. Taking a look to the sides, LED taillights coming standard once again across the board. I do like this chrome strip going from taillight to taillight there. That kind of ties in well with the chrome found on the front bumper. Then making our way down to the bottom, a little more chrome for you guys. Dual exhaust outlets with chrome tips. So I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So, but now since we are around back of the CX-9, first thing I wanted to mention is when it comes to opening that rear hatch, there of course is a button on the key fob. If you like, simply just press that. There is a power lift gate that is going to come standard with the Touring trim level that we have today, meaning you don't have to manually open it, just press the button. That's always nice. And if you wanted that hands-free power liftgate, go with the Grand Touring or Reserve trim levels. And that, of course, means just simply walk up to it, do a little kick underneath that rear bumper, and it is going to automatically open up for you. So that's always a good thing, too. But once opened up, cargo capacity behind that third row is going to come in at 14.4 cubic feet. And for a little comparison, comparing three-row SUVs in the same class, Telluride comes in at 21 cubic feet behind that third row. When it comes to behind that second row with the third row folded down, that comes in at 38 48.2 cubic feet. And again, for comparison, Palisade comes in at 45.8 cubic feet. Pilot comes in at 46.8 cubic feet. And then lastly, with all rows folded behind that first row, that is going to come in at 71.2 cubic feet. So Telluride comes in at an even 87 cubic feet. Pilot comes in at 83.9. So overall, I guess what you could take away from that is the CX-9 is slightly smaller three-row SUV than its competitors, but on the plus side, again, the steering feel is absolutely amazing. It is more of a driver's three-row SUV. If you were to do a true comparison, that would be the one takeaway I would give you guys. But 12-volt power outlet can be found in that cargo area as well. And to go along with that, you do have some grocery hooks, tie-down anchors, as well as some in-floor storage beneath the floor of that cargo area as well, and that's always a good thing. But making our way to the third row legroom, that is going to come in at 29.7 inches. So for reference, I'll give this a shot. I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. Again, for comparison, Telluride comes in at 31.4 inches. Making our way to the second row legroom, much more space here, 39.4 inches. So again, for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall, ton of space back there. And again, for comparison's sake, Telluride comes in at 42.4 inches. So again, a little bit more space there, but did want to mention there is a rear center armrest with cup holders if you go with the bench seating. And so here's the big change for the 2020 Mazda CX-9. Captain's chairs. Captain's chairs are available, and we do happen to have them today. That is definitely a wonderful thing. I love captain's chairs. It's especially nice if you have kids that do sit in the third row rather than having to fold down that second row. They can simply just jump in and run up the center to the third row, so that's always more convenient in my opinion at least. But nonetheless, that is probably the very biggest change for the 2020 CX-9. And by the way, if you're actually wondering how to go about getting them, Grand Touring is going to come standard with it. Signature is going to come standard with captain's chairs. And if you go with the premium package for the Touring, which is the one we have today, you will also get captain's chairs with that setup. But second row bench seating is going to come standard with the Sport, and again standard with the Touring unless you go with the package that we have here. But heated second row captain's chairs is going to come with the Grand Touring and Signature trim levels. There is going to be a center console between the captain's chairs if you were to go with the Signature. Rear ventilation is going to come standard across the board. There are second row sunshades coming standard with the Grand Touring and Signature trims, and an option for the Touring trim level. And once again, we do have that option today, and that's especially nice if you have a newborn, bringing them home from the hospital. It's a super sunny day and you don't want the sun blinding them right out the bat, so sunshades are definitely a plus for that kind of situation. But making our way to the front seats, cloth seating is going to come with the Sport, leather seating is going to come with the Touring and Grand Touring, and a Napa leather seating coming standard with the Signature. Did want to mention there are some new interior colors for the 2020 CX-9, including parchment and deep chestnut. Kind of cool sounding interior colors there. Power adjustable driver's seat with power lumbar is going to come with the Sport trim level, and those seats will come heated as well. Touring trim level is going to add to that a power passenger seat. Grand Touring is going to add, in addition to that, memory settings for up to 2 different drivers and ventilated front seats. But then taking a look at the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped for all trim levels, and it will come heated if you go with the Grand Touring or Signature trims. And now let's get to the startup here. Let me first start by showing you guys the key here. It is that new key design that Mazda has been doing for 2020 models, and that essentially puts all the buttons on the side of the key and puts the Mazda logo on the one side. But it is all simply keyless entry though, so if you simply just want to keep the key in your pocket, you can walk up to the CX-9, never have to take the key out of your pocket, and lock it that way too when you're leaving it. But there is a push button start for all trim levels, so I'm simply just going to put my foot on the brake here and press that engine start button located just to the right of the gauge display. And so anyways, speaking of gauges, once started up, you will have CX-9 lettering in the right side of those gauges. Tachometer is all the way to the left, speedometer is front and center, a digital display to the right, giving you a couple different things like safety information, outside temperature, trip and fuel information as well. But taking a look at overall interior quality, power moonroof is going to come with the Grand Touring and Signature. It is optional on the Touring that we have today, and that is of course what you are looking at right now. Tri-zone climate control coming standard for all trim trim levels. Not all 3-row SUVs give you tri-zone climate control. They usually give you dual zone, but tri-zone comes standard across the board, along with an overhead sunglass holder up top here. HomeLink controls coming standard with the Touring trim level and up. That's very nice. That can be found on the rear view mirror here for up to 3 different garage doors. Frameless rear view mirror is going to come with a Grand Touring trim level and up. Obviously, that's not what you're looking at right now. LED accent lighting come with the Grand Touring trim level and up, along with aluminum interior trim. And genuine rosewood trim is going to come with the Signature. Very high-end look to that one. But overall, although we do have a plastic silver interior trim, it still looks good. I like the positioning of it. It ties in with the doors as well. Very nice kind of deep storage area just in front of the shifter. That's also a plus, and has a rubberized bottom, so things are less inclined to slide around. You have electromechanical parking brake located just behind the shifter with an auto hold button if you're stuck in traffic with an accident or whatever. Dual cup holders just behind that, and a dual opening for the center armrest, which contains 2 USB charging ports, an auxiliary port, SD card slot, and of course a little bit of storage there as well. So overall, nothing too over the top really on the CX-9, but it really does give you just about everything you need. So definitely no issues for me there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the tech display. And first thing I wanted to mention before we get too much into it is a color touchscreen display. So you can of course touch the screen and adjust it that way, but there's also a circular dial and buttons just behind the shifter. That is yet a second way you can control what is on that screen. And so there is a 7-inch color touchscreen display that comes standard with the Sport. However, if you jump up to the Touring trim level and up, you will get a 9-inch color touchscreen display, which is new, by the way, for the 2020 model year of the CX-9. So that is currently what you guys are looking at right now. Bluetooth and audio streaming coming standard with that. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. Meaning, if you have a smartphone, simply hook it up to the CX-9 through one of those USB charging ports I just told you about, and you will have free navigation through your smartphone displayed up on that screen, as well as the ability to like and dislike your Pandora songs. There's a couple other compatible apps as well. Factory navigation is going to come standard with the Grand Touring and Signature, although you really don't need it if you have a smartphone these days. Of course, you can check out your radio settings up there. And by the way, when it comes to the sound system, you will get 6 speakers with the Sport and Touring trim level. However, you will get a 12-speaker Bose sound system if you go with a Grand Touring or Signature, and that particular setup is an optional setup for the Touring that we have today. And yet again, we do have that optional Bose sound system here. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio this morning, see what we got playing, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Sound system was pretty good. I guess I should stop waving my head back and forth now, but definitely, no, I'm just kidding. That sound system was amazing. There was a ton of bass there. Certainly no issues with any clarity or anything like that. Clarity was on point. Feels like it was really coming at you from all directions. Definitely more than enough of a sound system, honestly, for this 3-row SUV. But also wanted to mention, I have had Bose sound systems in my cars before. They have never failed me, never broken on me. So a very reputable company, very nice sound system in this particular CX-9, at least, that we do have today. But last thing I wanted to mention on that tech display, at least, is when you do put the CX-9 in reverse, you will find a rear view camera across the board coming standard, letting you know who or what is behind you. And in addition to that, there is a 360-degree monitor coming standard with the Grand Touring and Signature trims, of course, leading us into safety. And so first thing I wanted to mention when it comes to safety with the CX-9, this thing is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which, by the way, is the very highest designation given by IIHS. So that is certainly a plus to start with. But new safety suite available for the 2020 model year as well, dubbed iActiveSense. That is the name that Mazda has given their new safety suite for this one. So that is going to include automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert. And yes, that does mean it comes standard across the board. That's usually an option on other SUVs, so I'm pretty excited about that. Adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, rain sensing windshield wipers, as I mentioned earlier to you guys, and hill start assist. All of that coming standard across the board. Well done, Mazda there. Front side curtain airbags, of course, latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, of course, and a tire pressure monitoring system. And so, but anyways, that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media at the bottom of the screen if you like. Feel free to pick up some merch below the video if you want to support the channel. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.